Hello and welcome. I am the Gamer 2.0 and today we're going to be playing Fallout New Vegas and I'm going to be doing hardcore mode for the very first time. I have played Fallout New Vegas before. This is going to be the first time that I'm actually doing a hardcore mode. So without further ado, let's go ahead, start a new game, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the opening cutscene.
War never changes. When atomic fire consumed the Earth, those who survived did so in great underground vaults. When they opened, their inhabitants set out across the ruins of the old world to build new societies, establishing villages, forming tribes. As decades passed, what had been the American Southwest united beneath the flag of the new California Republic, dedicated to old world values of democracy and the rule of law. As the Republic grew, so did its needs. Scouts spread east, seeking territory and wealth in the dry and merciless expanse of the Mojave Desert. They returned with tales of a city untouched by the warheads that had scorched the rest of the world, and a great wall spanning the Colorado River. The NCR mobilized its army and sent it east to occupy Hoover Dam and restore it to working condition. But across the Colorado, another society had arisen under a different flag. A vast army of slaves forged from the conquest of 86 tribes, Caesar's Legion. 4 years have passed since the Republic held the dam, just barely, against the Legion's onslaught. The Legion did not retreat. Across the river, it gathers strength. Campfires burn, training drums beat. Through it all, the New Vegas Strip has stayed open for business, under the control of its mysterious overseer, Mr. House, and his army of rehabilitated tribals and police robots. You are a courier, hired by the Mojave Express to deliver a package to the New Vegas Strip. What seemed like a simple delivery job has taken a turn for the worse.
You got what you were after, so pay up.
You're crying in the rain, Pally.
Guess who's waking up over here?
Time to cash out.
Will you get it over with?
Maybe cons kill people without looking them in the face. But I ain't a fink. Dig? You've made your last delivery, kid. Sorry you got twisted up in this scene. From where you're kneeling must seem like an 18-carat run of bad luck. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
Alright, I've got to say that Fallout New Vegas definitely have one of my personal favorite opening cutscenes. Just, I've always loved it just because it gives you a little bit of introductory to the story as well as a lot of the different factions that you'll get to meet throughout the Wasteland. So let's go ahead, just accept all the different pack items that we got from the definitive edition of the game, which is what this is.
You're awake. How about that? Whoa, easy there, easy. You've been out cold a couple of days now. Why don't you just relax a second? Get your bearings. Let's see what the damage is. How about your name? Can you tell me your name?
Alright, I'm going to go ahead and name the character after myself, so Gamer 2.0. Alright, there we go.
I can't say it's what I'd have picked for you, but if that's your name, that's your name. I'm Doc Mitchell. Welcome to Goodsprings. Now, I hope you don't mind, but I had to go rooting around there in your noggin to pull all the bits of lead out. I take pride in my needlework, but you'd better tell me if I left anything out of place. How'd I do?
Alright, so I'm just going to leave most of the default settings here. And then I'm going to change just the preset, add a little bit of aging, and then we're going to basically try to make him into a young Doc Mitchell. Let's see here. There we go. And some brown hair. There we go.
Well, I got most of it right anyway. Stuff that mattered. Okay. No sense keeping you in bed anymore. Let's see if we can get you on your feet. Good. Why don't you walk down to the end of the room? Over by that vigor tester machine there. Take it slow now. It ain't a race.
Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of grab everything that isn't really nailed down in his house, just because it's not considered stealing for some reason. Just taking all the stuff in his house. So let's go ahead and just grab everything that we can, because we can actually turn around and sell this out in town once we get out of here. Got a whole bunch of extra stuff just lying around. Extra weapons.
Go ahead and give the vigor tester a try. We'll learn right quick if you got back all your faculties.
Some free chems. Then we can head right into here and take all of his books. Alright. And alright, looks like we got just about everything that's in these first two rooms. So let's go ahead and do our special stats. Alright, so the special is pretty interesting because it's a system where you get to pick things like strength, perception, charisma, intelligence, things of that nature. And your special stats affect a pretty wide variety of different things. So for example, strength here, you're going to affect your unarmed damage or melee weapon damage, how much stuff you can carry, and how effectively you'll be able to aim your weapon without it swaying all over the place. So I'm going to go ahead, since I'm going to be doing more of an unarmed build for this one, just to kind of ease up how much of the ammunition I'm actually going to have to carry around long term. I'm going to go ahead and bump that up to 7, just to kind of get a good amount of damage on that. And next we have perception. So perception affects certain skills such as explosives, lockpick, and energy weapons. It also affects just basically whenever you get into combat, you can see little red ticks on the compass, and this affects basically how far out you can see that. So because I'm going to be pretty up close and personal, I'm actually going to reduce perception down to only 2. Next, we have endurance. So endurance is going to affect a lot of things, such as your unarmed skill itself, your survival skill, and then how much health and natural resistance you have to incoming damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a bunch of points into there, just because it's going to increase both my unarmed, my survival, and it's also going to make it so that I have a decent amount of health, so I can actually survive pretty well out in the wasteland. Alright, next we have charisma. Charisma is going to obviously affect your more speech style skills, such as speech and barter. This also affects your companions, so the higher this is, the more effective your companions are in combat. However, in hardcore mode, your companions will actually be able to fully die and they don't come back, so because of that I'm not going to be running any companions really, so I'm actually going to drop this down to only 2 as well. Intelligence, I'm going to kind of leave where it's at. What this does is this affects like your science, your repair, your medicine skills, but it also affects how many skill points you get at each level up. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this at 5 for now, just kind of be more of the average intelligence. Agility, I'm going to bump this up to 6 because this affects guns, sneak, how many action points you have, and how quickly that they actually regenerate. This also affects how quickly you move, just like around in general. So what this is going to do is this is going to give it so that is just slightly higher than normal, and I'm going to have just slightly more action points than regular. And finally have luck, and I'm going to put my last 4 points into luck. What this does is this affects all your skills altogether, but only a very small amount. And this also affects your critical hits, so how frequently you're able to crit, and also how frequently the enemy will experience like weapon jams and things like that. So the overall spread should look like this. And let's go ahead and finish this out.
With luck like yours, I'm surprised them bullets didn't just turn right around and climb back into the gun. Well, we know your vitals are good, but that don't mean them bullets didn't leave you nuttered in a bighorn and drop it. What do you say you take a seat in my couch and we go through a couple of questions? See if your dogs are still barking.
So I actually like this system because this is actually going to give us kind of a psych evaluation, and we'll be able to...
All right. I'm gonna say a word. I want you to say the first thing that comes to mind. Dog.
So I like this system because it's kind of like a psych eval where they're going to kind of tell you what skills based on your personality that you get kind of out of this. So each of these kind of represents its own specific skill set. So for Cat, I'm not really 100% sure. I think this might be something like a more sciencey, so probably science or something of that nature. Feed would probably be something that's more along the lines of an exchange. So for that, possibly would be either barter or speech. Newspaper, I think that would be something along the lines of possibly barter or speech as well. Train, I think that's also going to be more of a speech option, just because you're trying to get someone to do something that you want it to. Kick, I think this is going to be the unarmed option. Dinner, I think this is going to be the survival option. So I'm going to go ahead and pick kick.
House.
So for this one, house and shelter, I would say that might be more survival. Burglarize might be something that is going to be more of like sneak and lockpick. Renovate, that might be another speech or barter. Target, I would say that would probably also be more of like a lockpick style of choice. Investment, I would say that'd be definitely barter, just because you're thinking about the value of something. Demolish, I would say demolish would probably be something along the lines of like explosives. So because of that, I'm gonna go ahead and pick shelter.
Night.
So night and campfire, I would say campfire would probably be something along the lines of survival. With dream, I would say that dream would probably be either something like science or possibly like speech. Shroud, I would say, would probably be lockpicking or sneak. Sleep would be... What would sleep be? I would say sleep would probably be something more along the lines of like survival, I think. Treasure would probably be lockpicking or sneaking. Silencer is definitely sneak. So I'm going to go ahead and say campfire.
Enemy.
So this is probably going to be more of like how you're going to deal with enemies. So like bribe would be speech. Crush would probably be like unarmed. Stab would definitely be melee weapons. Swiss cheese would be guns. Vaporize would be your energy weapons, and reasonable would probably be another barter or speech. So I'm going to go ahead and do crush.
Light.
So light versus dark. So if you're thinking about something that's dark, it's probably going to be more of like a stealthy kind of option. Light versus heavy, so that's probably more of like a science choice. With beam, it's definitely going to be like your energy weapons. Flash, I would think, would be explosives. Inspiration. Inspiration, I would think, would be science. And torch, I think that would be survival or melee weapons. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one.
Mother.
So mother, you have caretaker. For this one, I would have to say that caretaker would probably be somewhere along the lines of possibly a speech or barter. Genes would definitely be science. I think cookie jar, it's the idea of stealing the cookie from the cookie jar, which would probably be either sneak or lockpick. Tantrum, I think, would be more along the lines of you're unarmed, just because when you're having a tantrum, you're kicking and screaming. Tattle would probably be another speech. Regret. What would regret be? Not 100% sure on that one. But maybe something along the lines of possibly science, possibly just because you're reflecting upon the regret. So possibly science. And then human shield, I think, is just kind of the funny pick option where if you pick it, you get kind of a special dialogue from him. So I'm gonna say tantrum.
Okay. Now I got a few statements. I want you to tell me how much they sound like something you'd say. First one. Conflict just ain't in my nature.
So for these, I would say that these are going to be more of how you're going to deal with confrontation. So strongly agree would be something like I would rather not get involved with any kind of conflict, whereas strongly disagree means I'd rather be in every conflict that I possibly can be in. So I'm going to do strongly disagree.
I ain't given to relying on others for support.
So for this one would be more of like speech. So I would say strongly agree for my character, but strongly disagree would be something if you want to do more of like a speech style character. So let's go ahead and do strongly agree.
I'm always fixing to be the center of attention.
So for this one, basically, do you want people to notice you? So if you pick strongly disagree, I would say that'd be more like sneaky, stealthy. Whereas strongly agree would be something more along the lines of like speech or barter, because you're trying to attract attention, you're trying to get people to notice you, basically. So I would say disagree.
I'm slow to embrace new ideas.
So for this one, I would say that this is more along the lines of what type of weapons you're going to be using. So strongly agree would be something more along the lines of I don't use any type of technology at all, so just my hands, so unarmed. Agree would be I use kind of a baseline of technology, so melee weapons. Disagree would be I use things like guns or explosives, because it's some technology. And then strongly disagree would be things like I really want to have like the latest cutting edge stuff, so energy weapons. So I'm going to do strongly agree.
I charge in to deal with my problems head on.
And I think this one is going to be more along the lines of how close you want to be in conflict. So with strongly agree would be your melee weapons, you're unarmed. And with your strongly disagree would be like your long range weapons, so energy weapons or guns. So I'm going to do strongly agree.
Almost done here. What do you say you have a look at this? Tell me what you see.
So a broken chain, I would have to say broken chain would probably be something like a lockpick, just because you're picking the chain, you're picking the lock to open up the chains. Chemical reaction would definitely be science. Shadow in a door frame would probably be some kind of stealth. Oozing wounds would probably be medicine. An angry two-headed ant. That one I would say probably is going to be more survival-ish.
Okay. How about this one?
So I see a priceless work of art. You're examining kind of the value of something, so I would say barter. And some piece of space stage technology, definitely going to be either your science or your energy weapons. I see a ship at sea. For that, I would say that's probably going to be some kind of survival, or possibly like melee or unarmed just because it's very low technology. And I'm too embarrassed to say what it looks like. It's probably referring to a specific body part of the human body, which would be, I think, medicine. So I'm going to say a ship at sea.
Last one.
So light in the darkness. For that one, that would be, for light in the darkness, noticing the light would probably definitely be something along the lines of stealth, just because you're looking for what places are brightly lit versus what places are dark. Bearded man would probably be something more along the lines of speech or barter, just because you're seeing a person, so you'd rather have basically a person to connect with. Mushroom cloud would probably be something like explosives or science, just because it's the idea of the mushroom cloud itself being the explosion, and the creation of the mushroom cloud is the science. A head on a pillow, I think that one would probably be something like survival, maybe. Just because it's the idea of sleeping or the idea of rest. So I would say a head on a pillow.
Well, that's all she wrote. I don't have nothing to compare it to, so maybe you'd better just have a look at the results. See if it all seems right to you.
Alright. Well, I did get the survival, I did get the unarmed. But I ended up with lockpicks. So what I'm going to do is, instead of those two, I'm going to pick explosives and let's see here. I would say explosives and probably medicine. Yeah, I think that would probably be the best for right now. Actually, no, I'm going to do repair. Just because if I put enough points into this, when I level up, I'll probably be able to get the light touch perk, which is it's a perk that is bugged, where if you take that and then you respec the character after you leave the first town, you actually get to keep the perk even if you choose a different secondary perk. So I'm going to go ahead and get that, just because it's beneficial for having a little bit less chance of the opponent being able to crit you while you're wearing light armor, but also increasing your crit chance against enemies while you're wearing light armor. So I'm going to go ahead and take repair for now. Alright, and then a little bit later after I've leveled up, I'll probably just respec that out into something different. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and say done.
Before I turn you loose, I need one more thing from you. I got a form for you to fill out so I can get a sense of your medical history. Just a formality. Ain't like I expect to find you got a family history of getting shot in the head.
Alright, so we've got the traits. So I really like the traits because it is kind of a trade-off system where you get something good for something bad as well. And what I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at the skilled trait, just because this gives you +5 to all of your skills, so everything goes up by +5. You do suffer minus 10% experience, but this is another one of the bugged kind of traits or perks, because if you respec your character and then you reselect the skilled, you actually get an additional +5 on top of that, and you still only lose 10% of the experience. And experience isn't really a huge loss, just because the game is very, very long, there's a lot to do in it, and you can find enemies basically everywhere. So getting experience isn't really a huge issue or difficult to do. And so you can probably hit level 50 even with the negative 10% experience. The other one I'm going to take is Good Natured. And the reason why is because Good Natured basically gives all of your non-combat skills an additional +5 on top of the +5 from skilled. So that's going to be your barter, your medicine, your repair, and your science, and your speech. All of those get +5 with the skill that makes it up to +10. The downside is that you will take a -5 points to your energy weapons, your guns, your melee weapons, and your unarmed. So the total difference for that is only going to be, you lose nothing on any of your melee or any of your combat perks or combat skills, but you gain +10 in all of your non-combat skills. So I'm going to go ahead and do it like this, just because later on I can get skilled again, and I get it'll end up being +5 to all my combat skills and +15 to all of the non-combat skills. So I'm going to go ahead and do it just like this and say done. And the reason why I'm doing it like this is just because this is multiple level ups worth of points in a single set of feats.
All right, I guess that about does it. Come with me, I'll see you out.
Alright, and so last thing I'm going to do is just finish looting his entire house of everything else he's got. So all the money that he leaves laying around, all of his extra books, because he's probably not going to be needing it too much. I go into his kitchen, raid his kitchen, just take all of his food, raid his fridge, take all of his cleaning supplies, take all of his cooking materials, even his plates, and head into his bathroom, take his cleaner and his plunger, empty dresser, and then we've got the cigarettes. So I actually like looting the cigarettes just because for the weight to value is actually pretty good. And you can actually sell the cigarettes as pretty decent caps. Alright, so I am now over encumbered, but that's okay because the store in the first town is actually pretty close to the exit here. And having that extra money will be useful because I'll be able to buy some additional supplies for my journey. And now before I actually go to talk to him, I'm going to grab his hat, and then if I head in here, I've actually got a couple of items that I can still take in here that I couldn't before. So this broken 9mm submachine gun, I now have more than 25 repair, so I'm going to go ahead and repair it and take it. So it's now mine. And then the chemistry set, I now have more than 25 science, so I can now create stim packs or I can create chems. Chems are pretty easy to find throughout the wasteland, so I'm not really going to be worried about picking those up. So I'm actually going to create some stim packs instead, just because a little bit of extra health is always helpful, especially in the early game. So I believe I have taken everything in his house that isn't nailed down and that I can literally take. So let's go ahead, head up to the front, and talk to him.
Here, these are yours. Was all you had on you when you was brought in. I hope you don't mind, but I gave the note a look. I thought it might help me find a next of kin. But it was just something about a platinum chip. Well, if you're heading back out there, you ought to have this. They call it a Pip-Boy. I grew up in one of them vaults they made before the war. We all got one. Ain't much use to be now, but you might want such a thing after what you've been through. I know what it's like having something taken from you. And put this on too, so the locals don't pick on you for lacking modesty. Never was much my style anyway.
Thanks for patching me up, Doc.
Don't mention it. It's what I'm here for. You should talk to Sunny Smiles before you leave town. She can help you learn to fend for yourself in the desert. She'll likely be at the saloon. I reckon some of the other folks at the saloon might be able to help you out too. And the metal fella, Victor, who pulled you out of your grave. Anyway, you ever get hurt out there, you come right back. I'll fix you up. But try not to get killed anymore.
And we go ahead and turn on hardcore mode. Alright, so that's all set. So I'm going to go ahead and head out to Goodsprings. Alright. We are now out into the wasteland. And I'm going to have to accept all of the stuff from all the DLCs, all increasing my level by 5 and letting me know of the DLCs that are available. There we go. So I do have a couple of mods installed. Gunrunner's Arsenal too. Alright, so I do have a couple of mods installed just to kind of brighten up the wasteland a little bit, just kind of give it a little bit more active color. Just the base game just feels a little too muted. So I just kind of wanted to make it look a little bit nicer, kind of pop a little bit more, and give everything kind of a more bright feeling to it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and slowly walk over here, activate the Mojave Express drop box there, And we're gonna go talk to Chet.
Howdy. You must be the one Doc Mitchell was patching up. The way I heard it, I didn't think you'd be walking out of that office. I've got plenty of supplies for sale. Even got some weapon mods and special ammo. Well worth the caps if you ask me. If you're hurting for caps, I've also got boxes of surplus ammo in the miscellaneous section. They're not great, but you get what you pay for.
Show me what you have for sale.
Can do.
Alright, so I'm just gonna sell basically absolutely everything. Because there is actually not a lot that I really need. Except for the weathered 10mm pistol. That can actually come into handy as a sellable item a little bit later. But let's see what he has. So, shovel is good. And it looks like all that I'm going to be picking up from him there. Let's see here. Having some extra water isn't going to be bad. Salesman Weekly's good. Take all of his stim packs. And let's see what kind of different types of mods he has for weapons. Which doesn't look like there's anything too special. So, now that I have basically put myself in the hole, let's go ahead and start selling stuff to make up for that. And get rid of all of this junk. Except for the bobby pins, those are useful. There we go.
Give me a shout if you need anything else.
Goodbye.
Take it easy now.
Alright, so now that that's done, I'm all good to go. So we're gonna head right into the saloon.
Cheyenne, stay. Don't worry, she won't bite unless I tell her to.
Doc Mitchell said that you could teach me how to survive in the wasteland.
Yeah, I guess there's a thing or two I could show you. Sounds like you need all the help you can get after what they done to you. Meet me outside, behind the saloon.
So I really don't need the tutorial, but it's pretty much free experience. And there's a couple of shortcuts that we can take to kind of shorten it down just a little bit.
Now, see the sarsaparilla bottles on the fence there? Take this and try to hit a couple of them.
And I am using controllers. Sorry about the horrible aim.
That's the right idea. Look down the sight. Try crouching down and staying still. Nice shot. Well, that's a start. But I don't reckon you came to me to learn to fight sarsaparilla bottles. Tell you what, I gotta go chase geckos away from our water supply anyway. Darn critters are attracted to it. Why don't you come along?
Okay, I'm in.
Follow me. It's just down to the southeast a short ways.
Alright, there we go. So, I'm using a controller just because the keyboard I have is ergonomic, so it makes a lot of clacking sounds, which the mic will pick up, so I'm just using a controller instead. It just makes it a little bit easier to not have to constantly hear the clickety-clackety of a keyboard. So let's go ahead, head on up here. I know that she ran that way, but we're going to head up here just so that we can kind of grab some of the supplies that are up here that we're going to need for later anyway. So, take that snow globe, grab the Brock flower, and that's basically all that we really need from up here. But there are some graves up here that you can dig up with a shovel. It's disrespectful, but I'm gonna need the stuff that they got in here more than they do. Alright, so I think that was everything. There we go. Alright, so let's go ahead and head down this way. And I'm actually going to head to that schoolhouse over there in the distance next. And that's just to grab the couple of pieces of extra ingredients that I'm going to need from that side. So that way I can just save time after this leg of the tutorial is done. So let's just head on down this way. And I can actually head inside too, just because there are some goodies inside too. So I'm gonna go ahead, grab these 2 plants there, and then if we run around to the opposite side of the schoolhouse, they actually have some jalapenos growing, which I'll take as well. And then let's head inside the school building and take care of the enemies in here. There we go, simple enough. And we have Programmer's Digest that we can take. That's a skill magazine that gives one of my skills plus 10 for a limited amount of time, which is good because that can allow me to hack terminals that I normally wouldn't be able to hack. We got a Salesman Weekly, which is good because that's an additional 10 barter. Alright. Just got a bunch of bobby pins, which is good because we can use those to pick locks. And a whole bunch of junk that we can turn around and sell later. Alright, so go ahead. I don't have enough lockpick to pick the safe, so we're just gonna have to go through the terminal. So with this, it sets us up with a pretty easy word game, where basically you try to find the correct word based on the number of correct inputs you get from testing out one of the selections here. So we got 1 correct, so I know that the last 3 is not going to be ending with ing, so I can actually skip over all of those that end with ing. And let's see here. So I'm going to go ahead and try faction. Alright, so faction we have 2 correct. And let's see here. So we know it also doesn't end with tion. So torture, that only has 1 matching. That has 3 matching. That has 3 matching as well. That only has 1. Alright, so now almost down to my last attempt. So what I can do is I can actually look through here, and wherever there is an open and closed bracket sequence like this, you can select that, and sometimes it will replenish your allowances, and sometimes it will just remove a bad choice. So we can continue searching through here. There we go. And open the safe. And some free goodies in there. Alright, so now we can head back down and continue on with the tutorial. So we got Sunny right down here just waiting for us.
Hear that up on the ridge behind me there? We got some geckos to clear out. Bunch of little monsters is what they are. Seems like Doc Mitchell treats more gecko bites than anything else. Let's see if we can get a little closer. If we move quietly, we can get the jump on them. More likely to hit something vital that way.
Alright, so this is the sneaking tutorial, but I'm not going to be using it. So I'm just going to run up. Alright.
See? You're getting the hang of it. There's 2 more wells that still need clearing. You want, you can come along. It'd be worth a few caps to me.
Sure, I'll come with you.
Shouldn't take more than a couple minutes, especially with 2 of us. Come with me.
Alright. So, with this part of the mission, we can try to save someone. Just depends on how quickly I can get this done. Alright, so those are done. And if we head down here, we've got someone who needs some help. And unfortunately, didn't make it this time.
Ah, hell's bells. There's not a day passes by I don't tell people not to come here by themselves. Some people, your word just isn't good enough for them. Then this happens. Well, it's a part of life out here. Best to accept it. But you did what you promised, staying out here with me. Here's my end of the deal. One more thing I wanted to show you. Thought I might teach you about living off the land and making useful things for yourself. Interested?
Couldn't hurt.
All right then. We'll need a couple ingredients to get started. Gonna want some xander root and a brock flower. Let me think now. I know I've seen brock flowers growing up at the graveyard, and I seem to remember there being xander root over by the schoolhouse. Bring those on back to me, and we'll get cooking.
Alright, so I went ahead and I already grabbed those. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to head back up here and go ahead and just loot the other 2 geckos that I had taken care of at the first well. Just because they're going to give me some extra stuff that I can cook with. And having some extra food shouldn't hurt. But I am currently hurt, so let's go ahead and drink some water, take a stim pack, and let's see about eating some food too. There we go.
Let me see what you got. Yeah, these'll do just fine. Just fine. All right now, we're gonna be making something folks on the trail call healing powder. Go on over to that campfire now. Give it a try. Hey, that's not bad, see? All it takes to make a recipe is the right ingredients and the right know-how. Sometimes it won't be a campfire you need. Might need to do some work on your guns and ammo, maybe. Important thing to get is it's all the same idea. You just need to find the right place to set up shop. Workbench or reloading bench, whatever. Well, I hope that's enough to get you started. I'm heading back now. Hope I didn't miss anything good on the jukebox. Cheyenne would never forgive me. Hey, do me a favor. Trudy, she's the bartender up at the Prospector. Kind of the town mom. She likes to meet newcomers. She'd be cross with me if I didn't ask you to poke your head in and say hi.
Alright, so that's done. And I got some nice gecko steaks out of it. So we can go ahead and head on up this way. And actually I'm going to see if I can't drink, just a little bit more water, which I don't have any more water in here, so I'm just gonna come over here and drink some right out of the sink out here.
Hey there.
Go. Yep, that takes care of all my water needs. Alright, so let's head back up to the saloon and we can meet Trudy and start on our next quest. So I have gone through and I have played a little bit of Fallout 2. Just the only issue that I had with it was the tutorial kind of turned me off the game a little bit, just because the game doesn't really give you a gun to start out with. So when I tried to start the game as a gun build, getting through the temple was utterly just downright difficult, just because all I had was a spear and my bare hands. So that really just made it super difficult.
I'm done being nice. If you don't hand Ringo over soon, I'm going to get my friends and we're burning this town to the ground. Got it?
We'll keep that in mind. Now, if you're not going to buy something, get out. Well, you've been causing quite a stir. Glad I finally got to meet you. Welcome to the Prospector Saloon.
I overheard your argument. What was that all about?
Looks like our little town got itself dragged into the middle of something we don't want anything to do with. About a week ago, this traitor, Ringo, comes into town. Survivor of an attack, he says. Bad men after him. Needs a place to hide. We figured he was just in shock, so we gave him a place to lie low. We didn't actually expect anyone to come after him.
Where's Ringo now?
He's holed up at the abandoned gas station up the hill.
What are you gonna do?
Some of the others, like Sonny, will probably stand up for Ringo if he asks for help, which he hasn't. Personally, I hope he sneaks out of town one night and takes the powder gangers with him.
Never mind. I want to talk to you about something else.
All right.
I'm trying to track down the people who attacked me. Know anything about them?
Not much, other than they're a bunch of freeloaders who expected a few rounds on the house. I was able to get them to pay up, though. Of course, one of the great cons did knock my radio to the floor, by accident, and it hasn't been working since.
Did my attackers say where they went?
They were having some kind of argument about it, but the guy in the checkered coat kept shushing them. Sounded like they came in from the north through Quarry Junction. If that's the case, I can't say I blame them for not wanting to go back.
Why is that?
That whole area is overrun with the kind of critters that just get mad if you shoot them. Merchants avoid that whole stretch of I-15 like it's radioactive, which it could be for all I know.
So where were they headed?
I didn't hear exactly, but the leader was talking about the strip. Fellow wants to get there and avoid the 15, he'd have to go east. Take Highway 93 up.
Want me to take a look at your broken radio?
Sure, the outside looks okay, but I think something broke on the inside. There'd be caps in it for you. I do like to hear what's going on in the world. And that Mr. New Vegas seems like such a gentleman.
Show me what you got for sale.
I'm sure I've got something you like.
Alright, so she's got a Fixin' Things magazine, which is good for repair. Reading People, which is definitely good for speech. Salesman Weekly. And looks like that's about it. So, you can go ahead, just sell some of the stuff that I picked up from both Sonny and the schoolhouse. Alright, there we go. Should be good for now.
Another satisfied customer.
Goodbye.
Be careful out there.
Alright, radio's all repaired. And that got me a level up. Alright, so I'll take my repair up to 45. And I'm gonna put some extra points into, actually, I'm gonna put some points into my medicine and unarmed and survival. Then I'm going to take the light touch perk just because that's going to give me some bonuses. And again, I should be able to transfer that over when I respec the character anyway.
Feeling thirsty? I can take care of that.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and read a barter magazine because she's going to have another check. And then I'm going to have another check a little bit later. Hopefully it'll last long enough to take care of those.
Feeling thirsty?
I fixed your radio.
Yeah, I heard it turn right back on after you got done tinkering with it. Here's some caps for the work.
That's it? You're implying that I've done shoddy work?
Not at all. I'm never sure how much is normally charged for this sort of thing. Here's some additional caps. That should be enough. Now, how about spending some of those caps in the saloon?
Goodbye.
Be careful out there.
Alright, so that's good. So let's head on out and back up to the gas station up here where Ringo's hiding. And we can see if we can't talk to him about what's going on. Get some free sodas.
That's close enough. Who are you, and what do you want with me?
I'm not an enemy, if that's what you're asking.
Sorry about the gun. You just caught me off guard, that's all. We got off to a bad start. What say we start over with a friendly game of Caravan? You know how to play?
So I'm not going to play Caravan right now, but if I talk to him about it, I can actually get a free deck of cards out of him, and also like a set of rules for it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and ask him about it, but I don't think that the cards that he gives me is going to be good enough for a regular deck. So I'm going to go ahead, get the cards for free, and then later on I might try to play some Caravan just to see how, I know how it works, but just to show how it works.
It's a two-player game, and the winner takes the whole pie. You build a caravan using the cards in your deck. The goal is to create caravan bids that beat your opponent's bids, so there's more strategy than luck involved. It's why you won't see caravan in any casino. Too slow-paced, and more importantly, no house edge. Here, take this holotape. It goes into more specifics about the rules. You'll also need a deck, so take one of my spares. So, you feel like playing a game?
I don't have time for a game right now.
All right.
Did you know there's a man named Joe Cobb looking for you?
Yeah. He doesn't look very tough, though. I hear he's afraid I'll shoot him down from one of the windows when I see him. And he's right. I'll have a much bigger problem once his friends show up. There's no way I could handle all of them in a gunfight.
What are you going to do about the powder gangers?
I'm gonna lay low for as long as I can, assuming the town doesn't throw me to the wolves. I've got no chance against the gang on my own.
Maybe I can help.
We just end up sharing the same grave if it's just the two of us. Now, if some of the other people in town were also on board...
I'll ask around and see who I can round up.
Start with Sunny Smiles. She's been friendlier than most around here.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead, kind of poke around. Free doctor's bag is always good. Boxing times. And for some reason, a lot of the stuff in here isn't considered stealing. So I can just basically take everything that I want out of here. So I could take everything out of his duffel bag, but his ammo is his. Alright. Some free alcohol never hurts. Alright, so that looks like that's just about it. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to call this a wrap here. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe if you so choose. We'll continue this on next time. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.